The K Jazz Show, Sundays on Kofifi FM 97.2.
Page 3 this Sunday features an exciting guest born and raised amidst a rich tapestry of South African culture. She was influenced by her parents' love for music, which ignited her lifelong pursuit of the sonic explorations. Thandeka Dladla is a multi-talented vocalist and composer hailing from Johannesburg, and she's also the lead singer for the Unity Band, whose sophomore project, Breaking Bread, has caused a stir in the South African jazz scene. Of course, she's also set to make even a much bigger impact, if I may put it that way, in the music industry with the release of her solo debut project, Umnikelo. And she joins us this Sunday, to chat about the project and her life in music. Good morning. Welcome to Kofifi FM.
Good morning, Marco. Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. Of course, thank you for joining us. Let's formally introduce you to our listeners. Who is Thandeka Dladla and where do you come from?
So, Thandeka Dladla is, as you can tell by the name, a Zulu girl. I'm from the West Rand and I'm currently based in Cape Town. I'm a musician who formally started studying music at around the age of 11, 12, and I attended the National School of the Arts where I studied classical voice, played saxophone, and just really began to explore my love for music. Then I went on to study jazz voice at the University of Cape Town. So that's really my formal part of my musical training. But I also come from a very musical family. My parents are avid lovers of music. So they aren't talented in terms of singing or playing instruments, but they are great listeners of music. They are music connoisseurs, if you could put it at that. Yeah. And so I grew up in a home that was surrounded by lots of different genres of music and just a family that had a great appreciation for music. So that is me in a nutshell. Yeah.
I often ask our guests on the show, and I think this has become an age-old tradition kind of question when I often ask, when did you fall in love with music? Or particularly, when did you fall in love with jazz music?
I grew up in a household that we were playing music every day. I have a distinct memory of being at home and my mom, just when she wakes up, the radio is on. There's some song playing on the radio. But I specifically remember falling in love with jazz. There's two occasions. The one is my dad introduced me to a CD entitled The Ladies Who Sing Jazz. And that is a compilation jazz vocal album. And it features the likes of Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday. And when I listened to that, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. It, when something resonates and it clicks and you're like, okay, I can definitely listen to this.
Yeah.
And then another very distinct moment was probably around the age of 14 as well. Ekaya, a family friend of mine, my dad's actually, his grandfather, who we called Umnikelo, had a record room, like a back room, and it was just filled with records, and he had a record player. And on Sundays, we would just go there and sit, and he would just take out a different record, and he'd play. And then he'd just tell us stories about it, tell us who it is, what the music was about. And I fell in love with not only the music, but the story, the story that follows jazz and the story that is jazz. Yeah.
Wow. An incredible, recollection, of course. And I would say I met you or your artistry, through a band, we call the Unity Band. Let's talk about that one and how that came about. When did you guys come together and how did you guys, decide that we were officially going to be a band and we'll be doing jazz and all sorts of incredible stuff around music?
The Unity Band, a band that has my heart, firstly. We met at varsity. We were all studying at UCT. We all did jazz. We were in different years, but we were all in the same sort of circles. We had been playing in bands together for a while. And Ulu Manyano, who is the band leader, one day decided that he's going to book what we call a performance class, which happens every Wednesday, and different bands can just showcase themselves for about an hour at the university. So on that particular Wednesday, he had signed himself up, and he approached each of us individually and said, guys, I have an idea for a project, and I'd really like you guys to feature and play for my performance class. And of course, we all agreed, and we did the gig. And at the end of the gig, we were like, okay, there's something here. And we decided, you know what, let's not abandon this project. Let's do more gigs. Yeah. So we did more gigs, and after about 3 or 4 gigs, we decided, no, we're a band. And that's literally how we came together. And it's just been such a beautiful story of just making music and friendship and a community that we formed through this music.
Wow. So organic, and so easy. Yeah. Seems, and as a collective, you've just released your sophomore project, Breaking Bread, and in the same steam, then you show up from almost nowhere, and you introduce us to Umnikelo. We laugh now, but that's exactly how it feels like. Literally, we kind of didn't see you coming.
Yes.
Let's talk about your debut now and the significance of the title Umnikelo.
Wow. So Umnikelo in isiZulu translates to an offering. And when I wrote the song, firstly, I wrote it from a place of going, I feel so blessed to be able to have these gifts and talents that I possess. And I really do see my craft and my musicianship, or my musicality rather, as a gift and as a blessing. And so in writing that song, I was like, my heart's desire is to use these gifts in a way that will be pleasing unto the Lord, that will really just thank Him for blessing me with these gifts, and that I now have the ability to bless others through this gift. So Umnikelo, the song, is a prayer. And in thinking about how will I entitle the album, I decided there is no better way than to also present myself to the world as going, what I am bringing it doesn't belong to me. It is a prayer to the Lord. And so may He carry me through and see me through.
My
Kofifi FM, we're in conversation with vocalist composer Thandeka Dladla, and we've just listened to the title track of the album, The Project, Umnikelo, and we're also chatting to her this Sunday. Of course, she is our guest on our Africa's, chat feature. I beg your pardon. And I want to talk about, the travelers, the artists that you've worked with on the project, to realize this album. Who are they? How did you guys now come around or come together, as it were?
So I think whenever I'm asked this question, I always have to first note that the people that I chose to work with on this album are people that I firstly respect a lot, and who I have grown to enjoy sharing the stage with.
Right.
So I call them my friends, and I feel that we have created a great community where we are here in Cape Town. So it firstly is a no-brainer that I would have chosen them. But also because I have such great respect for my audience, I definitely would only want to choose the best of the best. So that's why I was working with an array of musicians. So starting with my pianist, Lonwaba Mafani, who I've worked with for many years. So he's also the pianist on the Unity Band. And there's no way I could not work with Lonwaba. He's just incredible, and I just love how he speaks and sings through the piano. And then on bass, Stephen D'Souza, who plays double bass and electric bass on the album, who's also just an incredible stellar musician, who also is part of the Unity Band. And then the final Unity Band member who I featured on the album is Marco Maritz, who is a phenomenal trumpet and flugelhorn player. So he plays on a few songs. And then on the drums, we have Kurt Bowers, who I've been playing with. He's not part of the Unity Band, but I've been playing with Kurt for about 2 years or so. And I just love how he uses the drums. He speaks to the drums. It's not just percussion. He makes sure that there is a story that is told in how he plays.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, it was a no-brainer that I would work with them. And then I was also blessed to have the opportunity to feature Sisonke Konti on saxophone. He's a great saxophone player. If I can just say, there's a song that he plays on by Usia Makuzeni. It's called Brazen Dream, and he has a solo on there. And that solo, I mean, if you're looking for a perfect sax solo, like, just listen to that song. Now I'm just plugging, but I would just say listen to that song. And so I know that that's the time I fell in love with his playing. So for him to be playing a project, I'm like, it's amazing. It's incredible. And then I have incredible backing vocalists who are Asemahle, Choloba, Sia, Gawana, and Konto Twalo. They are singers who I used to hear singing at the College of Music. And so they're a few years younger than me, but when I'd go to college, I'd see them and listen to them. And I've always thought I would really like to work with them. So when I decided to have this project, I was like, this is perfect. When timing is right and the people are there, it's just like the whole thing comes together in a beautiful way. So yeah.
We can literally just hear it, through your voice and the exciting, moments that you realized when you're creating the project. And I actually want to take a bit of a detour, with our conversation. I want to talk about a little bit, we often on the show play music from Cape Town, jazz music in particular from Cape Town, and a lot of us aren't even sure there is a scene in Cape Town, Because, I mean, we know our Johannesburg scene, but a lot of us aren't even aware that there's a whole scene in Cape Town. Just briefly, help us explore, the jazz in Cape Town. What's that like?
Wow, jazz in Cape Town is beautiful, firstly. It is alive. Just in case people don't know that there's jazz, it is alive, and it is there's a real culture and a real community of musicians who are just really working to get the sound out there. We're very fortunate to have a few venues that are actively also involved in getting musicians on stage. We have quite a few places where we can book and perform. So it's nice because your calendar can be quite busy. You know, it's not just that gig every now and then. We even have what we call a Cape Town jazz gig guide.
Hey, no.
If you go on Facebook, I think there's a Cape Town jazz gig guide, and really it's vibrant. Not just the students who are studying, people who aren't studying, but also the older people, older musicians who are still in Cape Town. They also have their own shows, and I mean that is a privilege to be able to watch those who have gone before us and who have actually paved the way for us to be able to make this beautiful music and have freedom to express ourselves in this art form. They still perform in the various venues and places that we find ourselves in. So yeah, Cape Town has a jazz scene, and it's alive, hey? It's alive.
Yeah. And Kofifi FM, if you are going to Cape Town, you heard it here first. You know, you will not miss out on any kind of jazz because they've got you. As much as we're busy and up and going here in Johannesburg, Cape Town is doing just as well. Speaking of, the scene, Thandeka, our jazz scene is becoming younger and younger. And I, for one, I think I'm excited about this development because it means that we are moving away from the idea that jazz is for the old and maybe a specific target market, as it were. What are your thoughts on this development, though?
I think, firstly, I will say that jazz wasn't played by older people in the when it in its roots, right? It wasn't old people's art form.
Mm.
It was actually started by young people. They were the pioneers. It's just that because we're young now, it seems like they were old, or rather they're older than us. So it's like, oh, okay, it's an old people's art form. That's not the case. Jazz is, I think there's a misconception in that jazz is an old people's art form. Jazz is not. It's actually it's a young man's art form, if I could call it that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I think if we look at the music scene, perhaps it's just because there's been such a influx of various genres: pop, house, hip hop, amapiano, all of those things, which are amazing. We might have forgotten that, oh, there's this art form. But I for one am very happy to see young people reclaiming jazz and going, this is an art form that allows us freedom, that allows us space to explore who we are, to explore our musical identity and sound. And I mean, jazz for me is also it's so beautiful because of its roots in improvisation.
Right.
There's an endless expanse to what can be done and how the boundaries can be pushed. And I think for younger musicians, that is probably the most appealing, is that you can grow, you can discover yourself, you can explore the musical art form while still having the room. Your audience allows it, number one. But number two, there's just that space for boundaries to be pushed, that space for sound to be explored. And yeah, I think it's just a freeing art form. And so I think it's brilliant. I think it's about time that we have more young people again coming into jazz and reclaiming it and going, this is an art form for us, and let's use it, and let's speak through it.
Yeah. And also find our identity, because I think there's a lot of storytelling elements there that kind of bring us towards ourselves. And my next thing with you would be, as a female artist, how have you, or how do you navigate this male-dominated world of music?
I navigated quite well, if I can say so myself. From studying music, I studied with quite a lot of males, and so on the one end, it's not something that has stopped me from being able to express myself. And being a band leader has also just being a female musician in the jazz scene where there are so many males has not had a negative effect or hindered me in any way. My colleagues it's been an exciting experience to learn and to grow with them. But also, I think being an intellectual or rather being someone who is rooted in academia, I'm also quite firm in what I know, and in my my giftings, and also just in my intellect. So there is no need for me to be unsure that, oh, can I do this? Oh, can I do that? Or do I need permission? No, I read a lot, and I think that informs how I present myself on stage, but also how I present myself in a band room setting. So yeah, so I've found that I have been able to assert myself, but not in a harsh way. Just, this is I also belong in this space. I belong in this space, and we can all coexist. Because this is a space where the most important thing is, what do you know? How do I understand? Do I have an understanding of this music? And studying jazz, studying the art form. Studying the art form has really grounded me in that.
Of course, we're hanging out with Thandeka Dladla here on the K-Jazz Show. And, you have a series of videos online, yeah.
Oh, no.
You have a series of videos online, which one could call tips about music and how up-and-coming musicians can do, to improve or maybe even perfect their craft. So I want to know from you now, as Thandeka, what are some of the things that, and I'm doing this in your voice now, what are some of the things that you wish you'd found out when you started out?
Oh no, you like did a deep dive. I love it. I love it. What are the things that I wish I knew when I first started out? I think the one thing is that this journey is my own and I don't need to rush it. I can just take my time and enjoy it, to trust in the knowledge that I have, to trust in my giftings and yeah, and just the fact that I am capable and I'm able to do this. And then I think just to remember what the main thing is, and I think the main thing for me about being a jazz musician is that it is a storytelling art form, that stories invite us into a world that is larger than ourselves. And so we're a storytelling people and our lives are stories, right? And so they have a plot, they have intent, and they have other people. So when I am writing and when I am engaging in this musical process at any point in my career, is that I should just look around, look at who is around me, who are the people, where do I draw inspiration from? It's from the stories that are around me, and those are the stories that are going to be featured in my music. So I don't have to look too far out and try and do crazy difficult things, because I think as a young musician, that's what you want to do, right? You want to flex and just, yeah, you want to impress and show people that you can do all of these things. But it's to know and go, the knowledge that I have acquired in this academic setting is great and it is wonderful. But who I am and the stories that I carry and the community that I come from and the people that I represent are just as important. So how do I find a way to bridge the two to ensure that I'm not left behind? So my identity is not left behind, but also that the knowledge that I've acquired is represented in the music, but that my people are at the forefront. If you can tell stories authentically and just be a reflection of the community that you are in, I think that the job is you are 80% to where the destination you're deciding to go to.
Yeah. An incredible statement to make, and I think a lot of people are taking it with that, you are as good as you put in, or you think you are, or you do, and it's an interesting lesson that we kind of have to carry on our shoulders, and we kind of have to remind ourselves and each other, especially in the creative space. Where to from here for Thandeka? Any shows we can look forward to?
So where to from here? So I think that's the first thing I just really want to keep writing beautiful music and connecting with the audience through it, because an important part of who I am is obviously the community that I was raised in, and the music I write, it's a reflection of those people. So I hope that I can write more music in this direction, and that my listeners see themselves in the stories I tell, and then so because the stories that I tell are so close to my heart. So that's number one, for me to not lose that.
Yeah.
And then new shows. I do have an upcoming show today, this evening, at the V&A Waterfront. It's actually a free show.
Oh.
And
hello.
I'm performing at 6 p.m. so people can come and bring their picnic baskets, whatever they feel like bringing. It's just going to be super fun watching the sunset and listening to great music.
Oh, we can't
And
wait.
then yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And then I'll be performing. I have a few other shows in Cape Town, so people must just keep a lookout on my socials. And then early next year, the dates will be released soon. I'll be in Johannesburg for a tour in Joburg, so I can't wait to come back home and to share my heart and to share the music with the people.
Oh, well, please make a turn past the West Rand because you know we're waiting for you. Literally, I live in the West Rand. So, hey,
I'm there. No, listen, I am
watching
there.
you, watching
You can't even you can't even beg me to be. I will be there. I can't wait.
We love it. We love it, of course. Let's keep up with you on the social media handles quickly.
So you can find me on Instagram at Thandeka_Dladla. You can find me on Facebook. My Facebook page is called Thandeka Dladla Music. So don't forget the music. And then on Twitter, I am at Thandeka Dladla _.
Excellent. Of course, she is a composer, vocalist, and band leader. Her name is Thandeka Dladla. And thank you so much for joining us this Sunday. And can't wait to experience you at the next live shows. You heard it here first. She's got several coming up. So coming next to your city, this one at the casino is a free one, this Sunday, right?
Yes, at the waterfront. It's a free show. Free show.
There we go. And of course, Johannesburg, you coming up soon. So keep it locked to the KJazz show and you'll find it exactly where you need to be, and look out for an incredible show. We've listened to the music, we've heard her speak now, and, when it comes together, it's an incredible showcase. But thank you so much for joining us this Sunday, Miss T. And we look forward to sharing more of your music and, of course, having you back on the KJazz show soon again.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great.
Thandeka Dladla on the KJazz show.